Yes, a new update just went live for Diablo 4. What does it include? We're going to talk about that today. So we've got some brand new official Diablo 4 news straight from the devs about what's going on with that Nightmare Dungeon update. And it looks like this particular update, by the way, is going to be much beefier as they keep adding on to it. But what exactly has changed here? Plus, Directstorage is coming to Diablo 4. This technology is likely going to be a game changer for many of you. And are players really quitting Diablo 4 after hitting level 80, or are they just hitting the pause button for now? Also, we finally got an answer on how much it would cost you to respec your entire level 100 character, even with a fully fleshed out Paragon board. Brace yourselves on this one. So yeah, I was literally about to press render on the video, and they posted this one right here. Check it out. It says Hotfix 12. Yes, we've got new gameplay fixes. So the Barbarian unique weapon Overkill, Hellhammer, and Ancient's Oath will no longer drop for Druid players. Developer note, we do want to forewarn that Druid players with these weapons already equipped will still be able to use them, but you will not be able to re-equip them if removed from your weapon slot. These uniques will no longer be available for Druid players to use moving forward. Okay, so there's a bit of a warning right there. Now, we do have some class changes and updates as well. For the Sorcerer, it says fix an issue where the increased damage from the Sorcerer's combustion ability was not applying correctly. Then some bug fixes. They also fix an issue where the Sorcerer's Ice Shards ability would cause excessive controller vibration, and then further stability improvements as well. So that's it for the update. But finally, yes, it looks like they did fix and adjust the loot table for the Druid. So now you can actually, guess what? Get Druid weapons instead of worrying about getting tons of Barbarian weapons as you go. So that's good news. But yeah, let's dive straight into this. Heading on over to Twitter, we have this question right here from Jog, who says, how soon can we see the Nightmare Dungeon buff? It just takes a few days to nerf dungeons, so please tell me it won't take long to get groups again for Nightmares. No one in my clan is doing them. Tell the buff. And the response here from Adam Fletcher of Blizzard, who says the Nightmare Dungeon changes announced during the live stream are more than just tweaking numbers. We are now in the phase of bundling more items into fixes and hot fixes as we are outside the launch window. It is on the way. We will let players know when they become available. So this particular dungeon update, Nightmare Dungeon update, I should say, is very much going to be a little bit beefier than we thought before. It's going to be also including some quality of life improvements as well, on top of what we can expect from that buff for those Nightmare Dungeons. I cannot wait for this fix. I get the level of impatience here from the community because, yes, there's going to be even more of a reason to head into those Nightmare Dungeons, considering that the experience that we are going to be earning is going to be much higher when this update finally rolls out. I'll keep you guys in the know about when that update actually drops and when it goes live. But yeah, let's talk about this one right here. So we're going to head on over to Reddit. Check it out. It says, I really miss big dungeons with multiple floors and 0 objectives. There's 125 dungeons in this game, and there isn't a single one that's just a massive layout with multiple levels. Give me an Act 3 style sewers dungeon or Durance of Hate. I'm sure people will find a way to complain about not being able to find the next level and backtracking and all the things they complain about now, but I'm really just over the door is locked, do XYZ mechanic that every single dungeon has. We're in a dang Diablo game with crazy wild abilities, and a door is standing in our way in every dungeon. I can only think of 2 locked doors in the entirety of Diablo 2. This whole impenetrable door thing is breaking my immersion big time. I think it's ridiculous, honestly. I'm hoping that eventually that the devs get the hint that this is something that we do not like. In fact, I would be for them completely removing these mechanics from the dungeons entirely. I think that is a way of solving this problem. Some of you might be against that, but I think it would make the flow of dungeons much better and a lot more fun. Of course, they would have to probably adjust things with mob density and that sort of thing. But yeah, I think that they should add more random encounters, random bosses, and that sort of thing in dungeons. That would make it a lot more fun. This is being talked about a lot out on Reddit. Check it out. It says, all dungeons being doors closed. Find 2 to 4 things to open it. It says 3,600 upvotes. Basically saying that's lazy design. Why does every single dungeon have to include an unholy amount of backtracking? So a lot of you guys are just over it. You're done. You want to move on from this big time. But yeah, we've got to talk about what it would take to respec a level 100 character with a fully realized Paragon board. Now, we got to head on over to wowhead.com, who did some calculations here, so let's dive into this right now. It goes on to say this: now that Diablo 4 has released and players are beginning to hit level 100, by the way, what level are you guys at? What is your main sitting at in terms of level? Kind of curious. Now it says, we've done some math to calculate exactly how much gold it would cost a level 100 character to refund the entire skill tree. For a full refund of 58 skill points, now that's 48 from leveling and 10 from renown, a player can expect to spend roughly about 4.3 million in gold, or more accurately, 75,000 gold per skill point. Now, if we scroll on down, it says, similarly, a full level 100 Paragon board refund of 225 points, 200 from leveling, 20 from renown, 5 from altars of Lilith, will cost about 8.8 million in gold, or 39,000 gold per point. So, sound off. Do you think this is a fair amount of gold? Do you think there should even be any gold that is required to actually respec your entire level 100 character? You have to also remember that we're dealing with a lot of systems in this game which require a lot of gold, especially in the late game, in that in-game. Especially enchanting, trying to re-roll your gear, that costs a lot later down the road, especially if you're trying to do it over and over again. They do bring up this point right here. Let me know if you agree with this or not. They say this: while these numbers may seem large at first, players should keep in mind the sheer amount of gold a level 100 character can generate. A single run of Yulder's Cave, currently one of the best solo dungeon farms available, yields roughly 1 million gold per run when factoring in selling item drops. Now, these runs aren't exactly monumental affairs either. An average run only takes 3 minutes. So does that sound like an excuse to have these higher gold costs for respecking? I'm starting to wonder if players are feeling a little bit fatigued by the gold requirements to respec their build, especially when they're deep into the Paragon board. But moreover, more than just the gold is the sheer amount of respecking that needs to be done, especially if you want to redo your entire Paragon board. Good luck. So that actually is a bigger issue right now, of course. But yeah, they go on to finalize this by saying this right here: these numbers also only apply to fully maxed out character as well. Lower level characters will face drastically smaller costs when respecking, of course, proportional to the gold income that they're seeing for their levels. So yeah, kind of curious to see what you guys think if they were to say one day, hey, there is no gold cost for respecking. Would you be down for that? Or you would be like, hey, no, absolutely not. All right, so Osmongold had some very interesting things to say. His recent video was called Why Players Are Quitting Diablo 4. Take a listen.
This is the Diablo power curve, okay? And this is the PoE power curve. So right here, this is like, let's say 80 hours. So the problem with Diablo 4 is that after you spend about 80 hours into the game, all of the gear upgrades that you can get are so minimal that they're not going to provide you with a tangible benefit, anything like what you had achieved before then. That, I think, is the problem with Diablo 4 endgame. That's it, because there's nothing else to do. They need a tier 5. Yes, they need a tier 5 that begins at level 80. That's what I think they should do.
So yeah, a lot of the community, they're noticing that it seems like there was supposed to be a world tier 5 in this game based on some of the items that you actually acquire past level 80. So I think that that would actually alleviate some of the problems with people actually leaving Diablo 4 once they finally hit those higher levels, because it seems like people are also finding out that it's just not worth the grind whatsoever past level 80 in many respects, of course. Now, that also ties into this post right here. I definitely wanted to bring this up. I think they need more uniques, I guess you would say, when you hit past level 80. Check it out right here. It says, unique items having no unique look. Is anyone else disappointed that not every unique has a unique look to it? Some simply look like random rares. I really hope that is maybe something they improve upon in the future, but not holding my breath. So if you guys missed my previous video, I showed off a really cool dagger that you can actually get as a rogue. It has like poison dripping off it. It has this very cool visual flare. We need more of that, especially when you enter into the late in-game, to really feel like, wow, I'm getting some really amazing uniques here to keep people pushing forward and onward. Of course, you definitely want that to also translate in terms of in-game gameplay, exciting abilities, and that sort of thing. And they definitely need to expand upon the in-game as we go here, which, by the way, officially seems to be the plan. First, it looks like Blizzard is going to be focusing on, of course, seasons, bringing us new uniques in that way, messing around with new gameplay mechanics, and then at the same time, piling on, I guess you would say, more features in the in-game, more permanent stuff that we can enjoy. And I think that's what people are really looking forward to more than anything else. And I want to know more specific details about that. Now, we got to talk about this one as well. Check it out. It says, anyone else kind of hit pause until Season 1? This is interesting because are people pausing the game right now, or are they quitting it outright? This has 644 upvotes right now. It says, I love the game. It is phenomenal. I'm World Tier 4 around level 75, done 100% Tier 3 Renown, all statues, and about 50% to having all Tier 4 Renown done. I'm kind of thinking maybe I just cool my playtime and wait for Season 1. I'm not blessed with massive amounts of gaming time. It seems like some massive changes are coming too. Plus, I'll play a seasonal character for 3 months. Our current characters have a month tops left on their shelf life. What is everyone else thinking? And let's get into the replies. So yeah, what is everyone else thinking? It says, I just play to kill time and relax. That has 239 upvotes and an agreement here as well. So yeah, to me, it seems like people are potentially hitting the end game. And I feel like a lot of people are like, you know what? I'm hearing about this level 100 character that it's kind of overhyped, trying to reach and achieve that goal. I think I'm happy with, say, like level 83 or level 84, whatever. I'm cool with that. And then when seasons roll around, that's when I will start investing in my alt. That's when I'm going to check out the game again. It only makes sense to take a break here. Plus, you got to remember there's some other games that have released as well in the mix that are grabbing people's attention. I'm looking at Final Fantasy 16, by the way, which, by the way, I'm completely addicted to that one. But anyway, I think that right now people are kind of most likely taking a chill approach to Diablo 4 currently, especially those that are hitting later in the end game. We also got to talk about some new updates that are heading to Diablo 4. Yes, we got to talk about Directstorage. So check it out. It says, the Diablo 4 team confirms Directstorage isn't working in the game, but we are planning on enabling it in the future. They go on to say this, and this comes from PC Gamer. It says this right here. Diablo 4 devs have confirmed that while there are Directstorage files in the game already, it doesn't take advantage of the game changing SSD tech yet. Our intrepid Katie has been told specifically that it is being planned for the future. Microsoft Directstorage is currently not enabled, the Diablo team says, but we're planning on enabling it in the future. Furthermore, it says it was reported back in March around the time of the beta that files for Directstorage along with DLSS had been uncovered in the game files installed on people's machines. Now, the biggest question is, what is Directstorage and how will it benefit Diablo 4 going forward? So check it out. It says, Directstorage is about having games actually utilizing the power and performance of solid-state drives, particularly those running on high bandwidth NVMe's protocol. Previously, with lots of existing systems and consoles specifically still using hard drives, game developers still had to cater to the slowest common denominator. Now, with the Xbox Series X and S and PlayStation 5 all shipping with NVMe's SSDs as standard now, and their use in gaming PCs almost as ubiquitous, it's about time we started being able to take more advantage of the technology. And that should lead to both shorter load times, as quick as 1 solitary second in some potential instances, and lower resource loads on the CPU. Now, graphics cards can get in on the action too, taking the processor almost entirely out of the equation when pulling information from solid-state storage. such as textures and other image data, though GPU hardware-based decompression such as this is so far missing in action entirely. All this makes Directstorage a rather exciting technology, giving us open worlds with fast streaming, high-res textures, and the promise of no loading screens anywhere. Presumably, hopefully, that's why Starfield is coming out of the gate as the first game I know of that's making an SSD a minimum requirement. It's about time, in my opinion. So, I am very curious to see what happens with the loading times for Diablo 4, particularly when you're entering dungeons. You have that little load screen. Will that completely disappear? That's what I'm wondering. And then, of course, this is going to help with things like streaming the world. Ultimately, this is going to be great when Diablo 4 finally gets that, of course, ray tracing update. I cannot wait for that. So all in all, I see good things for the future for Diablo 4 in terms of performance, graphics updates, that sort of thing. This is only going to help the game. Now, I wanted to definitely talk about this one right here. It says, I really want an option to replay campaign quests like Diablo 3. You're probably wondering, hey, why is this so weird looking on the screen right now? Well, the post actually has spoilers in it. I don't want to spoil anything for you all right now, but they bring up such a good point. There's so many pivotal moments and particularly awesome bosses that I would love to be able to replay. And I think they should take some of these key moments with the bosses in particular and turn them into like pinnacle bosses or something really cool that you experience perhaps as a random encounter in Nightmare Dungeons. That would be so cool to get a very super rare sigil, Nightmare sigil, that tells you, hey, you know what, you have a chance to fight against one of the story bosses. That would be very cool. Now, mentioning all this, I'm playing Final Fantasy 16, and there was a moment in the game where I'm like, oh my god, that was so badass. I want to be able to replay that. And the game basically read my mind and instantly brought up a window that said, hey, you know what? You can replay this by going here in the menu. I'm like, I immediately thought about Diablo 4, how it needs more options with replaying really cool, pivotal key moments in the story. All right, so yes. Moving on, we have this one right here. Extracting the aspect of a legendary should give you the transmog. It says, I don't know, just sucks that I have to sacrifice a nice looking weapon armor to keep an aspect that I'd like for later. This has a whopping 4,900 upvotes. A lot of agreement about this one, and totally agree with you that there needs to be this option in the game. I'm surprised it's not in the game. There's also some weird oddities with armor. Some of these armors, don't offer transmog whatsoever, and I'm kind of like, why? This is such a cool piece of armor. How is it possible that this does not offer transmog? So I think everything in the game at some level should offer some form of transmog to get to that, you know? All right, so we need to talk about, yes, world boss spawn times are terrible for the CEST time zone. This is a great post, 861 upvotes. Overall, I think the world boss timer is just wacky and weird in the first place. It goes on to talk about how this time zone is very much neglected, of course. A lot of people are also mentioning how the world boss spawns when they're just not available no matter what. They cannot seem to time their life around a world boss event. Check out this follow-up post right here as well. It says this from Slackerdua, who says this: as a West Coast player, boss spawn times seems to be as follows: before I'm awake, when I'm at work, and after I log off for the night. So other than weekends, I don't seem to ever catch them. So maybe they need to up the frequency of world boss events. I think they're going to have to absolutely do some fine tuning, because we're counting on you, Blizzard. You guys promised that we would not have to worry about this at all, that it would be very obvious and you would be able to, no matter what, practically daily get into a world boss event. Make it happen. Also, we got to talk about how some of the personality has been stripped away from some of the enemies in Diablo 4. Check it out. This is a great point right here. It goes on to say this: the Fallen not acting like the Fallen is extremely disappointing. They don't use Rakanishu as their battle cry, and they don't frenzy when one of them dies. They don't break and root when you kill a few of them. They've been stripped of all their personality and turned into generic foot soldier demons. This isn't the only blandification of enemies, and it's the one that bums me out the most. So, 1,800 upvotes. A lot of you guys agree They need to bring back the personalities of these enemies. In fact, someone brought up a point as well that also the goatmen don't bleed. I hate it. And, you know, we have a point here brought up. It says people forget how much the enemy sound effects added to the game. If I told you to imagine the ones from Diablo 2, you can remember all of them. The zombie groans when they are attacking, the fallen when they say rock and shoe, or when they attack, and the saber cats, the fetishes, the two different spirit things, both from Act 3 and Act 4. It added so much to the atmosphere and the personality of the monsters, but now it is so bland. Wow. So, yeah, I think they're going to have to add this back into the game, honestly. I really hope they tap into this and they're making notes, because this is an important one. There have been franchises that have done this. I'm like, why? Why have you gotten rid of this particular part of an enemy? Why would you not evolve it? You know, this feels like a de-evolution of what the franchise once was. Perhaps it's because they were kind of concerned about the redundancy of the sound effects, but I don't think people were bothered by it. You didn't hear anyone really like saying, oh my God, I got to mute this sound. I got to mute the game. So why do this in the first place? You know, it's kind of baffling. All right, so we got to talk about your top comments from my most recent video, which was this one right here. It says, whoa, I did not expect this news today. New official updates. Is Destiny 2 ruining this? So, yeah, that was definitely some accusations going on there. Check out the video if you missed it, of course. But I think it did ruffle a little bit of feathers here. So let's get into your replies about this one. So, check it out. We have Beef Gold, who says this: I came from Destiny and this is my first Diablo. I am taking things very much day by day, and I'm so far really enjoying the experience, save for the inventory shortcomings other folks have mentioned. I hope the season model in Diablo doesn't change, though I wouldn't mind if they just took out the entire renown system from seasons, if only to make people shut up about it. Yeah, you know, there are some controversial things still happening with renown. People don't want to grind it whatsoever. It does sound like there is going to be some sort of level of renown grinding required when you head into these seasons. But overall, you know, I'm down again for starting a new character. I'm kind of excited about it as well. Now, we have this one right here from 2009 Miss Cat, who says, I like Torchlight 2's solution to inventory. I really like their pet system to take your unwanted gear back to town and sell it for you. That way, you can keep playing with minimal interruption. It also could carry extra gear for you and add some minimal DPS or defensive buffs, as well as cosmetics or pet types and looks. Diablo should have demon pets to keep with the dark theme and implement this. People will pay for all the Pokemon. It's a win-win. Yeah, you know, they've been kind of like tiptoeing around the idea of adding pets into Diablo 4, but if they do add pets, they should definitely have a useful gameplay mechanic to it like you are describing. This would be so cool to not have to worry about traveling back to town every single time I want to offload or sell my unwanted gear. This would be a game changer big time. I would love to see it, as long as, of course, the pets fit into the mold of what Diablo 4 is and doesn't like break the actual lore or the aesthetics. That's super important. All right, next up we have this one right here from Dragon Haven, who says, I totally loved re-rolling characters in Diablo 3. Getting to start with a fresh slate gave me the opportunity and sometimes the excuse to not just play one class all the time or rely on old gear to make the game's content easy. Starting over while getting to skip the story if you want was wonderful. Playing the game, having fun, and don't treat it like a job. Exactly. And you know, they've done some stuff like you've mentioned. They did put some really cool measures in there to ensure that we didn't have to replay the story, you know, over and over again. So there's that at least. And of course, yeah, we get the horse right out of the gates when also restarting our journey with the character. So yeah, they did do some measures to ensure to keep the fun going and not have it so redundant. But yeah, I'm with you. I'm excited. I cannot wait. I'm going to be creating new alts and experimenting with builds. So that's going to be the idea behind it for me at least. And also messing around with these new gameplay mechanics with a fresh start. But thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned here for more Diablo 4 news and updates. I have you guys covered. And I will see you all next time. Take care.